ready to roll.
Yeah, let's just hop
look
in.
at that. Could be. It's been a while since we've done this from home, man.
I know. You just like fly away to California for
Sorry.
months at a time. Yeah.
Bird life.
So what are some administrative things we can talk about real quick before we get into this? As far as I understand it, rounds are best of 3.
Yep.
Up until finals, they are best of 5. First 2 rounds of losers bracket are best of 1.
Damn.
So we'll keep that in mind.
So
we're going to try to cover roughly half of the bracket today, half of the bracket tomorrow. Prizing, I will get to you guys unless you know off the top of your head.
Well, it's 2250.
Okay.
I
and
don't
how
know
it's
the
split
exact
up.
breakdown.
I would guess something close to $1,000 for first. Yep. $750 for second.
And then,
Third and fourth get
yeah.
$250, and then 5th through 8th also get seeding points. Now let's talk about those seeding points,
Well,
because that is
that's
the
a
big
big deal.
draw.
Yeah.
That is the big draw of this tournament, is that you do get a large amount of seeding points for the North America July Open.
Yeah, so
which will be
basically the way that
happening
works
next
is when we did the June North America Open, that was completely unseeded,
Yes.
more or less randomized, but July, they're using events like this. I believe Hero Type also receives seeding points. That's happening soon.
Yes.
And yeah, that's just going to provide seeding for that event. But Tempo Storm, that's the one team that's qualified thus far, but let's get to this draft.
Sure.
Now, we have the first band, Vikings Illidan, down to fight, opted for an early pick on Zeratul and then Sylvanas, but look at that combo potential on Zeveron.
Yeah, that is a very, very scary early game type of roaming style. And that's something that's no surprise to what we see normally with Zeveron. They do like to, especially Kerrigan. Kerrigan is a very common pick for those guys. They find any of the warriors will work with Johanna and Kerrigan especially. I remember even seeing some of their games during the June Open. They were doing crazy stuff where they would pull, get 3 people onto like the north side of Johanna's Condemn, Kerrigan, Primal Grasp into Impale, hitting all 3 people. So like they have it down. They obviously practice these types of very particular technical style combos so that they can get those types of roaming ganks going very well. So they are known for having a strong early game. No surprise to see that this is the type of draft that they're going for. Down to fight, like you mentioned, they do have that Zeratul paired with the Sylvanas. Not an insane amount of synergy between the 2 heroes, but they are both quite strong. I'll be curious to see where Abathur fits into this draft. Probably quite a bit stronger for down to fight at this point, so maybe Zeveron might be looking to ban that. We'll see.
The Rhaegar band's interesting.
It is.
He works well with Johanna. I don't really get it, I'll
well,
be honest.
Down to fight will probably be picking first after.
So
well,
do you think they're trying to force a support ban instead of Abathur?
They may be just taking the Uther away early, because Uther is something that will fit the best into what Zeveron has.
All right, well, the Murden removed, they kind of need a warrior like a Nubarak. He's the next good option that does remain. Do you think they should prioritize just Uther and Noob here, or try to pick up that the Abathur that you mentioned?
I think going Uther or Abathur. Well, it depends on the team. Like we can make guesses about what heroes they play, but maybe we don't know a lot about down to fight. Like I said, I recognize a couple of the members just name-wise, but I don't know what their hero pool looks like. And they might not have anyone that they feel very strong playing Abathur on, in which case they'll avoid it. But I personally think that it is a strong pick here, especially with Zeratul. Yep. It really improves his effectiveness by quite a lot, having that Abathur hat on. It is going to be Tassadar at this point in time. So again, we'll see. And that takes up pretty much, there's no room for anything other than a warrior, so probably no Abathur.
The nice thing about Tassadar here is the fact that they do have this big combo team. They've got the Kerrigan, they've got the Johanna to really pull you in. Tassadar can really dodge that rather successfully. And we don't, I'm not going to say we're going to see Force Wall, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities here.
Also, the vision is a very, very important thing. They will very likely stick Tassadar in the mid lane just to try to keep tabs on the rotations between the lanes, give a lot of heads up. That's always very, very important. Can't be understated at this point. Zeveron's still looking to pick up their support. I would probably guess it's going to be Brightwing. It looks as though they will also try to pair this up with Falstad. That is going to be the case.
Okay, so they got that global presence with those 2 heroes, just allow them to soak the lane successfully, and again, just a lot of Brightwing, a great support, Falstad, a great range damage. With the combos of Johanna, you line up the Hinterlands Blast. Can be quite scary, but down to fight, they need to pick up that warrior.
Yep. Like we were saying, Zeveron, they're not scared of running something that is technical in terms of we need to make sure that all 3 of these abilities line up perfectly, otherwise we're not really going to have strong team fights. They're not scared to run things of that nature. And I think that this team composition that they have lined up is no exception. It's much harder to line up Condemn into Hinterlands Blast timing-wise, from a timing perspective. Also, there's some variability in terms of how the ability works itself. And unless you have a lot of practice with it and you're quite in sync with the rest of your team, it's going to more often than not whiff on some, if not all, of the heroes that you have lined up. So
yeah, it's tough. But all right, Noob.
You mentioned the Anub.
Yeah, he will be that final pickup here for Down to Fight. Two teams readied up, ready to rock and roll.
Okay. We didn't even have to tell them we're ready to go. We are ready. In fact, we've sort of been sitting here for 20 minutes itching to cast the game because, you know, we want to be jumping into this as much as you guys want to be watching it. So
we haven't done this from home in so long. It's just
I'm trying to think. It's probably been
5 weeks.
Some random weeknight for ESL, honestly. But it has been some time since we've been able to do that. Yeah, it has been a while. We casted the finals, but that was remotely.
Yep. I haven't been home.
Yeah.
But I'm home.
You are home now.
Back again.
How does it feel?
Cursed Hollow. That's the home of many of these teams. The most seasoned map here, but it feels good, Kubi. I've got my cold brew California coffee. All they had was Starbucks, which was tragic. So now I've got my elitist cold brew, homemade, locally roasted.
Do you have?
That's from
dregs?
stirring. Yeah.
Oh.
It's just from stirring.
Oh.
It's fine.
This is what he was fine. Good
I
coffee
made you
grounds in your coffee?
You're welcome.
Guys.
It's Folgers coffee grounds too. It's like pleb status because it's your
you
coffee.
Cold brew Folgers?
No.
What?
I made your coffee and I used the same spoon to stir mine. Let's talk about video games this time.
let's please.
See, Kubi drinks pleb coffee like Folgers.
All right, over on the left side of the map, we do have, what is this? This is Down to Fight. Yes, excuse me if I butcher some of these names if we haven't casted these guys before. We do have Handlebars going to be on Tassadar. Savagery will be playing a Nubarak. Mr. Pink looks like it's going to be on Zeratul. Grim Reaper on Sylvanas. And Genrike.
You did it.
Genrike? Is that Genriki? Could be.
I'm going to say Gene Reich, but I don't have a clue.
Anyway, it's going to be Uther. I'm sure we'll get yelled at after this game to get this correct pronunciations.
Oh, man, they're going to have to handle it. All right, well, Equinox, Faye, Chthon, Locke, Mad Timmy, and Fury. That's Zeveron here on the right side. A very seasoned team, definitely the favorites coming into this, but this is the time for new teams to really break out, as Heroes is a very young game.
Of course, yeah, you've got an entire month to get your team sorted out, and this is a great way to jump into the North America July Open with those seeding points. If you win this tournament today, that is a great start, and will very much so get you a great spot in that bracket. So we're going to be seeing some pretty serious competition today.
No this is my first time observing in like a month. We're in for a bumpy ride, boys!
But we do have those talents. Anything that we should be talking about, we do see the preference on the... Okay, that was an unfortunately short burrow charge. I think he accidentally re-triggered it.
Unfortunately short.
Yeah.
It's one way to put it.
That's probably the only way to put it.
That's what she said. All right, well, we're going to move up to the top lane here, see what Falsehead's doing. He's trying to push this lane back, but Sylvanas does have that push here with Gene Reichel.
We're just going to call him Gene. Can we just call him Gene? Let's just call him Gene.
Yeah.
All right, so actually something cool that we're seeing is we do see these types of rotations between, say, mid and bottom on Dragonshire, where a team will very quickly clear out a wave, and then they will rotate to the other lane. There's so much more space between the lanes in this map, but we are seeing that type of play for Zeveron. The Jaina, Kerrigan will quickly rotate to the mid lane, clear the wave out, and then go.
Mr. Pink is right here. Does Zagara catch wind? 3v2 right now. Jenna going forward. We do have Chthon rotating down, but Equinox not going to be able to get that pull in.
He could have, but I don't think that they would have been able to follow up to get a takedown.
Yeah, probably not. Probably
not.
All right, well, Zeratul continuing to roam around the map, looking at Chthon as that big, juicy bird target. But Chthon is quite, okay at this point in time. The rotation coming from the behind. Mr. Pink can be able to blink away.
Oh, it does get tagged by the Wild Hammer. Storm Hammer? I always forget the name of the ability. Jake, help me. Save me.
We're going to call it the Hammer.
It is Hammering. No one ever calls it Hammering.
No. No, they don't. All right, we did see Zeratul end up falling here in the top lane. The rotation worked out that time. Chthon took a fair amount of damage, get a Hearth back to base, and use his trait, the Fly, to get back in to contest this tribute.
Yeah, a couple takedowns early. They do have an experienced lead at this point, and they already have a strong amount of representation in the top lane. We see Falstad is flying back in, so at the very least will be 3v3. Johanna rotating up from mid for Zeveron. Zeratul not too far behind.
All right, well, the Burrow Charge was used, so they know that's on cooldown. That's going to force Savagery into the back line, just playing a bit more passive than he would like. The Primal Grass does hit, Condemn goes in, but Equinox the one that falls first.
Wow, a lot of damage. Gene does end up falling, and Brightwing, I imagine, will be phase shifting in. There it is. This is going to be the important part. They have established that this will be a very solid fight between the two teams. Fury falling quite low.
Oh, man, Fury is actually going to go down here, but no, he gets the takedown just before he falls, and we do see the nice peel from Jaina in the backline. Faye has just been peeling with that Jaina, and one more hit. Yes, the Cone of Cold going to take out Tassadar.
Not a role that I would expect Jaina to be filling up in terms of that peel, but they were very, very close to being able to take down Fury. Not going to quite be successful there. As you can see, the takedown counter is 6-1.
Yeah,
point in time.
Just
Zeveron
really
with a strong start.
Convincing positioning by Faye. Being in the
yeah.
back line there.
Yeah.
The Burrow Charge, once it was going out, they had no way to really just engage on her. She knew she was just safe to poke and prod from afar.
Also, also credit to the experience lead they have. Obviously, the takedowns are a large chunk of it, but also the very late rotation. I shouldn't even really call it late, but that Timmy coming in as late as possible to make sure they get as much soak as they can in that bottom lane.
It's a big deal. That's why those global presence heroes like Falstad and Brightwing are highly sought after on a map like Cursed Hollow.
Absolutely. 3 battle momentums.
Oh, man. And some bruisers picked up here by Zeveron on the right side of the map. But Falstad getting collapsed upon does have that dash to get through the wall. The barrel roll will be used.
So the battle momentums are actually kind of interesting. Not that that ability particularly synergizes well with each other, but it's very semi-rare on Kerrigan. Just see this. Hold on a second. Mr. Pink, yes, does end up falling. So it's somewhat rare to see it on Kerrigan. You're either going to go for that or maybe the Zerglings that pop up out of the Impale. But I'd say it's pretty uncommon to see it on Falstad.
I almost wonder if this is an Ultralisk build, just because being able to summon more Ultralisks is actually quite nice.
Or more Maelstroms. That would be cool, too.
Yeah, but I want to see more Ultralisks.
Ultralisk is a nice ability. We are going to see some changes to the Ultralisk, but not in this patch.
No.
So maybe we'll see a little
Tuesday.
bit. I don't think it will actually drive it to be a more viable ability. But hold that thought. We do actually have a complete channel.
Yeah.
Fury was able to remain uncontested for that 7 seconds. And this puts Zeveron at a 2-0 lead. They have the aggressive experience advantage, almost a level and a half at this point. Yeah, we need to see some strong plays out of the Savagery and the crew. They aren't. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to put any pressure on to get any takedowns.
And Falstad just now flying in. He delayed it quite a while. He was soaking the bottom lane, but he's going to be able to force them back. They didn't happen to lose Equinox, just barely getting away from those beetles in the bottom lane. Going to have to hearth back to base.
With that Knight takes plunge, so you very quickly they're able to clear out these waves, rotate around, and continue to put that very strong early game pressure. But this is what Zeveron is all about. They want to get a very strong early game. This is what they're known for doing, drafting even such a way. Like, Kerrigan falls off quite a bit later on
she
in
does.
the game.
If you're not ahead, I mean, she's actually a detriment to your team in a lot of ways, because you just much rather have Illidan or something of that sort, a different kind of melee assassin. But Mr. Pink really trying to force this back. He does have Blink, so he'll be able to blink out of this.
Yep.
But Cathan Luck, the aggression will be halted a little bit.
It's going to be very difficult for Down to Fight to take this tribute, considering level 10 was just hit. We didn't get a chance to talk about follow-through on the Sylvanas, so we'll hold that thought until after this fight.
Well, that's going to be a falling beetle. Anubarak has gone down. Being down a hero, being down heroic talent, contesting this tribute going to be downright impossible.
No, they're not going to do it. It just they have
they're
to
not
just
even
defend the curse.
They know they can take it, so they go straight for the boss. This is a confidence play, but like you said, very intelligent.
I wish more teams would start making very confident plays like this. It's like trying to really maximize both the objective of the map when they know they have a strong advantage like this. This just goes to show you the experience that Zeveron has with having that early game lead. And of course, Savagery realizes, okay, why haven't they taken the tribute? They've got to be going for the boss. Also, they can always hit tab to see. You can see the siege damage of your enemy. It's like, okay, I don't see anyone channeling the tribute. Their siege damage is going up. They're taking the boss right now. Unfortunately, realized it too late. But even if they did realize it in time, like it's not like any of them had lost a lot of HP during that.
You got the minions. It counts.
Got him.
Yeah, but right now, that boss in the bottom lane, I mean, they're escorting it somewhat, but they're making sure they soak all 3 lanes at the same time. So with this very early tribute, I mean, you can see Fury in the face of these minions, actually just using that blind to just evaporate the entire wave. Boss has full health right now.
All right, we can talk about some of the heroics for Down to Fight. Void Prison, Divine Shield, Wailing Arrow, Archon, and Locust Swarm. Not surprising to see any of those. Hold on for the rest of these, because we do have a fight brewing, and it looks as though that's the kind of combo that we wanted to see. Actually, a really nice Wailing Arrow to sort of nullify that as best as possible. One takedown does happen to go towards the way of Uther. And this will continue to set up a lot of pressure considering that Golem is still at 3/4 HP. Savagery does fall. The pull onto Grim Reaper doesn't look like it will be successful in turning into a takedown. Still, though, this strong advantage for Zeveron continues to ride forward.
I gotta say, down to fight, they're doing a nice job responding. Like, that was the exact way to use Wailing Arrow to disengage. You saw the big combo happening. So the idea is there, just a little bit of positioning that could go a lot way to improve their team fights right now.
Yeah, you're right, though. The Wailing Arrow was on the right terms, but, you know, you're 3 levels down. You have this Golem in your face. The Curse is still active, so you don't even really have Defender's advantage through the use of the towers. There's no slow available from the Keep. It's a rough position. It is rough. All right, so we did get to see some of these heroics in action in that last fight, but we do have Blink Heal, the Maelstrom, Blessed Shield, Water Elemental, and Hinterland's Blast.
And that's a lot of damage, a lot of pain, and especially with the triple battle momentum that we talked about, they're going to be coming out time after time. But right now we do see the double sprint at level 13. Hold your ground for Johanna. That ice block for Brightwing going to make her very hard to eliminate.
So Faye making use of the sprint while it still lasts. It does seem as though in the PTR that it will be taken away. So a little bit less mobility for Jaina available. Probably we'll see more ice block picked up in the future. Be curious to see if that becomes a trend today. More Jainas, because we will be seeing a lot of Jaina today. If they're going to start practicing a little bit early, make full use of sprint. I mean, there's a lot of different philosophies you can take. Do you want to start practicing earlier? Or do you want to just play to win? Right.
I would play to win because
this
is proceeding for the July North American Open, play for the current patch. But like you said, we'll find out. We do see they're pressuring this middle four at this point in time. We do have Mr. Pink looking for that big Void Prison. Can he get 3-4 members? That is very nice, but the Wailing Arrow was used a bit too soon.
Yes, the stun actually will still be hitting on Uther, and oh my goodness, the pull-in, followed up. We have the Maelstrom as well, dealing a lot of damage, and just honestly is keeping Equinox alive. It's so difficult to take out this main damage dealer. That is 3 members down, 4 down to fight, and it looks as though Savagery will be pinned. I don't think he has the burrow charge to be able to get out. Ooh. Oh, he does, actually, but he should be able to be chased down, yes. One more shot from Falstaff's auto attack. This is looking to be a brutal game for down to fight. What do we want to see them change?
Well, honestly, they had the right idea, but a bit of miscommunication with the team there. That Void Prison was exactly what they needed. If they landed that, followed up with a Wailing Arrow on 4 members of the team and a big burrow charge, the damage is disgusting at that point in time.
Also setting up for a good position on the Locust Swarm, too, because you're sort of turning Savagery, who's going to be playing, who's on the Unubarak, into what Kerrigan has, especially when she's hitting a lot of members with the Maelstrom. It's so difficult to take him down. He's constantly in your face, blocking all the time. Your escape paths. Yes, they have a lot of potential to turn these games around, but we just didn't quite see the synergy there after the Void Prison. And I think that's really what sort of made things quite a bit difficult.
All right, well, Cthon did get bullied back, had to use that barrel roll to tap the well and stay alive right now. Brightwing is split-soaking across the map. Now, there are catapults in the bottom lane, and Brightwing has promote, so this will become a problem rather quickly if they do not respond to it, but they might be able to get this top fort.
Yeah, those promoted catapults, no joke, as it would seem. Yes, trading out this top 4 is good. They do need to catch up in experience, and they need to try to find as many ways as possible to do this. However, the longer things stall out in terms of this position, you know, the closer Zeveron is going to get to level 16. I honestly probably would have preferred them to take a bit of a scarier fight. The Unstoppable actually looks as though it will be able to get Johanna out of harm's way.
Oh! Okay, well, they got the setup. Now, Fury a little bit too aggressive there. Void Prison hitting 2 targets on the side of Zeveron, but we see Equinox is going to have to use that blink forward. Going to fall rather quickly. Mad Timmy getting low as well, but are they able to turn this around? The self-healing, the ice block. Faye in the backline is just dishing out so much damage. Timmy, the Pixie Dust going to be barely not enough as Mr. Pink blinks forward and eliminates him.
Well done for Mr. Pink. Cthon looks like he will also be falling at this point. Faye, the only remaining member. Still, we have the pressure in the bottom lane. Catapult's no longer promoted, but someone is going to have to rotate back from down to fight to deal with this. Yes, we see Mr. Pink has Hearth. A strong start, considering level 16 had just been hit for Zeveron. That is the type of fight we need to see, but look at the positioning that we saw. The Void Prison was thrown down. We had Savagery on Anubarak. He was in a great spot in terms of covering the retreat path while having the Locust Swarm active. I'm pretty sure that Wailing Arrow was still on cooldown from the previous fight, so it wasn't able to follow up with that. Had they still had that ability up, that fight would have been much more convincing for down to fight. But I think it's a great momentum boost for the team. They know that they need it. They just need to set up these types of positions.
Look at the levels. They've only lost a single keep, and that's not the best thing in the world, but they did manage to take out a 4 and win a team fight. They're going to push towards 16, be on an even talent footing for the first time this game. It's a big deal.
All right, so this is a bit of a misplay for down to fight at this point. Taking the Knights is great, but hitting tab, they can see how much their siege damage is going up. There's no Knights, or at the time there weren't any Knights on the side of Zeveron, so they could see that they were taking the boss, and you need to respond immediately with taking your own boss. At this point, it is too late. Unless they, again, are feeling confident in setting up some kind of party bush in front of the golem to that effect. Maybe that's something that they could look to do, but they're probably going to have to rotate back up, defend against this boss. And all of a sudden, they looked like they were taking some momentum, but just a slight misstep like that, not matching the golem against the enemy team, it looks as though it's going to put them again on the back foot.
Yeah, so now they're forced again just to respond, and this is going to give Zeveron that opportunity to go down to the bottom boss, but they suspect this is the case. They're going to try to set up for a big play. The Oracle revealing the positioning, and Zeveron is backing out.
All heroics are up. What is going? Do we see a VP? That could have been a huge VP. I would like to see it throw down.
Oh my goodness, he didn't feel the confidence there. Equinox got very low, is going to be able to back on out of here. They do deny the boss, but meanwhile, this is exactly what Zeveron wants.
I don't know if they can take it.
No, this is so risky.
Mr. Pink has made a lot of really nice plays on Zeratul this game, but honestly, if you're feeling strong as a Zeratul player, blinking forward to throw down that VP is something you absolutely have the the affordability to do.
Look at FaZe positioning in the back line. They get the big turnaround. The hit release blast hitting 3 targets. Faye is going to be able to lock down everyone. Only Divine Shield keeping Grim Reaper alive, but that was going to end very shortly. The Maelstrom of Kerrigan going to be enough to help burn her down.
She's able to get out, does not get the pull. So Grim Reaper will stay alive for the time being, but with 4 members down, they do still have their healer up, of course. Mad Timmy, more than okay, and it looks as though, yes, this should be the end of the game. Another 20 seconds before the remaining members of Down to Fight are back up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they showed a lot of promise there, but like you mentioned, if they threw that one VP down, set up for the Burrow charge, set up for the Wailing Arrow, just the combo on their team, they could have made so much happen, but instead they turned around, chased them away, tried to start the boss in a situation where they should have at least just gone back to base to defend the top lane boss.
They had a great position in terms of like baiting Zeveron a little bit further forward in terms of trying to take the boss out, or at least defend it. And again, I gotta harp on the VP play that they just had shown in the previous fight, that they can set up good VPs, and the follow-up is there from the rest of the team. So you got to put faith in the Zeratul player. Having him blink forward to get into the position to throw the VP down, it's an instant cast, so you just need to be confident in it. And honestly, that's one of the things that separates the really, really strong Zeratul players from the ones that are just like less confident in their play, is the VPs. And being like, I see that opening, the window, blink forward, set the VP up, and they had all the rest of their heroics up. So, and they just hit level 16 too. Talent tiers were even. Like, that's the time to take a fight. There's going to be no better opportunity for your team to do that. And I think just trying to like shove them back so that you can go back to take the golem, it's never going to really pan out. And we saw that the pull from Johanna, Kerrigan, the Hinterland's Blast, all of that was on point. Zeveron is obviously a very polished team, so giving them that opportunity, I think, probably was the big misstep in the later game.
They want to fight you in a situation like that. That's exactly what Zeveron wants. With Kerrigan and Johanna, Falstad, that's exactly what they wanted. And
position-wise, your team is under pressure because the golem has already been aggroed.
Exactly. So you got to worry about the stun, the
damage he's throwing out, the positioning.
Everything.
Like, you only have a very tiny retreat path to the upper left, and then a tiny retreat path to the upper right. And that's just immediately going to put your team in a panic. So, oh, how do we get out of here? And then before you know it, you're getting pulled.
And wrecked and annihilated. And that's what happened in game number 1. But guys, we're a bit behind schedule, so we're going to go as quickly as we can to set up game number 2. We'll be back in just a few. All right, guys, we are back here for game number 2 between Down to Fight and Zeveron Gaming.
That's right. That is right. So let's talk about what needs to change for Down to Fight. Obviously, the map is different. We are moving to Blackheart's Bay. For those of you guys who aren't familiar with this double ban system, if you see that extra set of bans, after the 5th total pick between both teams, there will be a second set of bans happening. Yeah. So look forward to seeing that. And it's a cool... I've been loving it so far, honestly, in terms of the strategy that changes between the two teams. We're seeing an Abathur first pick out of Zeveron. The bans being Sylvanas and Tassadar for the first set. Down to Fight. You know, we've been theory crafting a little bit about, well, I shouldn't say theory crafting. Like, it's kind of a known thing that Vikings are quite strong in this map in terms of giving your team ability to PvE on this map in particular. And the way that the mechanic works in this map, you take any of the mercenary camps, the pirate camps, there's 4 extra camps. You get coins, you turn them into Blackheart. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. But the Vikings really give you a lot of opportunity to rotate around the map and just have a huge, I gotta say it, monopoly. They have a huge monopoly on the coins. So we'll see if either the teams, at this point probably not Zeveron, considering they have Abathur. I can't recall any games pro games, where Abathur and Vikings are on the same team.
No, it's very uncommon to see that, but you do still want, like you mentioned, Vikings to have that opportunity to potentially split soak across the map or collect the coins.
So what I'm getting at is I think I would like to see Down to Fight take Vikings if they feel comfortable on the hero. Again, we don't know a lot about their hero pool. Well, we'll see if they end up going for it. But Vikings, yeah, you can get a lot done in terms of map control with that. Take something aggressive, maybe Illidan, something that's good at skirmishing. We'll see. Zeratul is still available on the map. I think that the team looks comfortable playing with Zeratul. I think, just some slight tweaks, a little bit more crispy play with the VPs, but it looks as though the team has practiced a fair amount with Zeratul, so I would like to see them go for that again if they want to. Illidan, I mentioned that as a possibility.
Yeah. All right, so let's think about the other options here. Now, they picked up Illidan. Now they want to go for one of those big assassins. Jaina's still available. Sylvanas banned out. Jaina seems like the likely pickup here because as nice as it would be to grab Uther and have the guaranteed Uther for Illidan, let's face it, there are other big options like Rhaegar on the table, but they're opting for Johanna.
This could be a setup to take Asmodan a little later. I personally feel as though Asmodan is quite strong on this map, especially considering the proximity between top and mid lane. We'll have to see if that's what they end up going for. Or maybe they're just at least putting themselves in a position for Zeveron to be forced to ban out Asmodan.
All right, so We've seen this done in the past. Zeratul hunts around looking for a target to pick, and then you can have the Abathur Hat and Brightwing phase shift in to just find them in the jungle, especially when you're trying to collect coins, going for even just a pack of Siege Giants. Suddenly there's 3 heroes on top of you, and it's awful.
Second game in a row that Down to Fight has banned. No, Zeveron banned
reverse
Murden.
sides, yeah.
Yes.
Reverse sides.
Okay. So Murden removed once again. Very likely the tanks will be, or excuse me, warriors should be Johanna and Anubarak.
Huh, yeah, it's pretty likely that's what they'll do. Now, Zev needs to look and say, okay, well, if we remove Uther here, they don't have Cleanse, and they don't have Divine Shield, but they could still get the Ancestral Healing.
Yep.
Is it enough, though?
They do take the Uther away. I think that is a smart ban. They could still go for Rhaegar, Azmodan, plus an additional damage dealer. Somehow Jaina has made it past
that's insane.
First picks and bans.
Kalthas
has also made it past. That's a little bit more common.
The thing is,
Jaina is like, what?
Zeveron could be baiting them to pick those double mages. If they pick those 2 mages...
I don't think they should go double mage. Just take one. Whichever you feel more comfortable on. I personally... they've set themselves up well enough to take Azmodan. So again, this comes down to, are they comfortable running this? They have a great setup for it. Johanna is insanely good with Azmodan.
Yeah,
not only like you take
Knight
takes pawn, and you get your strong wave clear, pull the wave in. Also later on, when you have those stacks set up, the Condemn is so good at pulling people in to get more value out of the powered up stack. So it's just a win-win all around. Also the stun to lock them in place with the Blessed Shield. Jaina, I don't think there's any danger of Zeveron taking Azmodan, so they don't need to grab it right away. And if they want to try to, well, there's really no danger of them grabbing a second support either, so they could do whatever. They're going to go for Rhaegar.
Okay, so that's smart. You have the Ancestral Healing, you have the Lightning Shield to go onto Illidan. A lot of synergy with those 2 heroes.
That makes a lot of sense. Zeveron still needs to pick up their warrior. Probably going to be Anubarak. Any potential for them grabbing something else? I don't see why they would. If anything, maybe ETC, but that...
I don't know. A noob makes a lot of sense. ETC could be cool here because you just have this super divey composition. Like, oh, here comes the phase shift with the Abathur Hat and the stage dive. Suddenly you have the entire enemy team on top of you. This sucks.
Tyrael? They could go like, what, Tyrael Falstad?
If they're super worried about the backline, like Jaina and the potential of Kalthas, yeah, but like you mentioned, they could still go Azmodan. And in that situation, I don't know if I like Tyrael that much.
Yeah, with the high HP pool, it can be very difficult to burn him down, in which case you're more or less going to be always targeting Jaina to try to remove that damage.
It's not bad if Illidan's going to overextending. You can judgment him behind like your lines. If he overextends, it's just a great lockdown, and again, there's no cleanse for them.
Yeah, I like Anubarak more, especially considering the map too. He's better at jungling than Tyrael is, so I think that's probably a better pick. They're going to go for Tychus. That's...
Okay.
Semi-Illidan counter, we've talked about this in the past. I've never really, like, in theory, it should work, right? You throw down the laser drill as soon as Illidan jumps into the fight, and it's strong. You also have Melting Point, Rip Melting Point in the next patch, but... So do they grab the Azmodan, and what else could it be? They could go for the double mage, like you mentioned. Kalthas is still on the table.
I think Asmo or Kalthas make the most sense.
Sagara
would be okay.
Maybe, like, stick her in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
Like, she's pretty decent on this map. What else could they grab that makes a lot of sense? Well, we talked about the Vikings earlier.
I mean, Vala's a safe pick. Vikings, we
don't
know
a lot about their compositions.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. This was not something we expected. Double support, super high sustain. This is going to make it hard to eliminate Johanna and Illidan, and there's not the same kind of lockdown as the last game. This will help mitigate the burst potential that they're going to be relying on a bit for that Zeratul. But it's going to be interesting.
Double support. Do I agree with this?
I mean, Tychus is like a great counter to Illidan. Double support's going to make it very hard for them to kill Tychus quickly. I almost think it's going to force them into Odin.
Last pick is supposed to be Vala. This okay. Mad Timmy gives the okay for that, so they're going to take Vala as
so
the final
it's not Malfurion. Makes a lot more sense.
I don't think they ran out of time. I think it was just a mistake. Are they right next to each other? Malf. No, not really. I don't know what happened there.
You know, Malfurion, Vala, it sounds exactly the same.
If I knew the alphabet, right?
Yeah.
M, V, not anywhere near each other. So why would I even ask that they are next to each other on... I have no words for you guys. We can't do math. We don't know the alphabet. You know what? I'm speaking in absolutes for both of us, but I know I can't do these things. It just can't handle.
I'm getting words from the producer that your shirt doesn't get along with the green screen, and my red is clashing with the blue of Team Liquid.
Oh.
We might have to have a warp drove change.
Really?
Yeah. Kubi's upset about this.
I didn't do laundry.
Oh,
this is it. I'm all in, boys. I'm all in.
The glitching.
All right, fine. I'll see what I can do.
Kubi will just cast shirtless, guys.
Something tells me we get in trouble for that. Yeah.
I wouldn't let you do it either.
Wow.
Yep.
Bros don't let bros cast shirtless.
Nope. Not a thing.
All right, so how do we feel about these lineups? With Vala being the final pick. It wasn't something that we were considering. I mean, we sounded pretty shocked with the double support for good reason. But Vala is something I wasn't actually anticipating either. But neither was Tychus. So
she's like a comfort pick for a lot of players.
Sure.
If you're worried about Zeratul, it's just like suddenly they have all this burst, right? Well, Vala can vault away. Just be like, get away from me, please. And sometimes we'll even see players run talents like Caltrops to help kind of have a little bit more evasiveness. It's not a common thing, and I do suspect that we'll see a Hungering Arrow Vala in this situation, especially with somebody like Zeratul. So it should be the reset, but I have seen Caltrops done.
Caltrops that's insane. The Hungering Arrow, though, now that I think about it a bit more, I'm so used to, I think Vala and I think multi-shot build. I'm still, like, not quite used to all the teams going for this Hungering Arrow style build, but you're right, Zeratul is going to be doing a lot of roaming around with the Abathur hat, and I think it might provide some great opportunities to get a lot of that 1v1 situation with Vala. And at the very least, it'll force Zeratul to be a bit more scared.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because that single target burst, like we mentioned, like, scary. Guys, game number 2, Blackheart's Bay, just about ready to rock and roll. Zeveron versus.
Yeah. Before we get into this game too, let's in the unlikely event, or I shouldn't even. I'm not going to pretend to predict who's going to win this, but let's assume that the set wins here. Get on Twitter and let us know what match you would like us to cast next.
Oh, that's a great idea, Kubi.
Because we're asking you guys in chat. Yeah. I think just hit !bracket in the chat. That will Moobot will tell you what the bracket is, and if you guys want to know, if you guys let us know on Twitter what you guys want us to see us cast next.
All right, guys. Well, on the blue side of the map, that is down to fight. Currently down 0-1, but they're here to fight back. And they've got 5 nerds playing. It's going to be Illidan, Rhaegar, Vala, Jaina, and what's her name? Johanna.
There we go. Okay.
All the female names end with A's.
On the right side of the map, we do have Fury. He's going to be on the Anubarak. Faye will be playing Abathur. Mad Timmy. Look, they're all pink. I like this.
Oh, my goodness.
Mad Timmy's going to be on Brightwing once again. In the bottom lane, really quick, we do have Equinox on Zeratul and Cathan Luck on Tychus.
They need to get their wardrobe figured out because
Tychus with a 0% win rate during the North America June Open. Looking to try to turn this around. We did not see, we saw a fair number of Tychus games, but honestly, we didn't see it really have a huge impact on any of the maps. So we'll see if this works out well as an Illidan counter this particular game. And I'll just be paying attention to the laser drill positioning and relative to where Illidan is.
All right, well, level 1. It's an auto attack build. So pretty. Rancor. We haven't seen that talent picked up in quite some time in competitive heroes. And actually, Empowering Charge. So this is going to give 25% bonus damage to the next 3 attacks coming out for auto attack. So there's a lot of synergy for auto attacks. I'm pretty sure that Down to Fight is actually doing something, Kubi, that I love more than anything in the world. It's called Bloodlust. It actually has a lot of synergy.
Oh, come on! Are you serious, man? Like, you're actually going to do this to me right now?
Mr. Pig! No! He's a pig and he's going to fall. See, I'm now rooting for Down to Fight because
I'm actually face-palming over here. Every time we cast, you do this to me.
Yep.
Every single time.
Bloodlust.
You got it once. You got it once during the Twitch Invitational.
It's going to happen. I feel it, Kubi. I feel Bloodlust. Guys, give me your Bloodlust powers in chat. Help us channel the power of Bloodlust. We need to Spirit Bomb this. I need your energy.
You know, as much as I hate it when you do this, you might... There's like a small chance that you're right this time.
Yes!
There's a small chance because it's an auto attack build for Vala. Obviously, Illidan is going to be very reliant on these auto attacks. We see the talents for Rhaegar picked up at level 1 that indicate this. Obviously, Jaina's not going to fit that well into it. Johanna's, just whatever control. Actually, Johanna's nice in that sense, especially with Blessed Shield and Condemn. Like, that's amazing. Everything about Bloodlust is like, well, this is a great ability, but how do we keep people in place to get full value out of it? Look at this. Equinox, the Abathur, constantly going to be hunting down this Illidan. and he's dead. I don't see any way for him to get out of this. Yes. And that's where Illidan, it's well known that Illidan is a great jungler. If we could borrow that term.
So you want to abuse that, yeah.
Yeah, and Illidan is going to be constantly rotating around. So Zeratul is going to be trying to counter jungle in this sense with the Abathur hat. That is a fight that Zeratul very easily wins against the Illidan.
With a Brightwing and an Abathur, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even need Brightwing at that point. Just the Abathur hat, more than enough.
It helps keep him from escaping, right? That's the big
yeah, definitely. But like you don't even need it. That's what I'm trying to say. No. Especially if you're in a position where you're like trying to take the Giants or that pirate camp on the left side of the map. Like you can't leave. There's nowhere to run. There's no safety point as long as the Zeratul is doing a decent position like body blocking, etc.
All right, it is a full auto attack build.
Yep.
We do have Manticore picked up here for Vala, so this will be just a focus on auto attacks and immolation there. Standard stuff for
bigger blizzard, snowstorm.
Snowstorm.
Again, this is also feeding into the bigger area to slow the team down, so that you can get more value out of Bloodlust. Jake, I'm changing my statistics. There was like a 20% chance they're gonna run Bloodlust. Now I'm like bumping it up to 40. I'm bumping up to 4. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at level 7, but you might be right about this.
And look at this. A lot of damage done to this bottom lane Cthulhu with that melting point. And we do see the Condemn is going to connect. Brightwing phase shifting on in, but I'm not sure if they can be able to save him. We do see the takedown go on Vala. Big turnaround for damage, and we do have Jeans trying to escape.
He looks like he will be able to get out, and this actually could be a bit of an overextension, but Mad Timmy with the balls, phase shifting down there. I was like, okay, he might actually end up falling for this. And but pans out, kind of. Trade, 1 for 1.
All right, well, Handlebar's trying to get a handle on this top lane right now. We do see the bruisers being collected in the bottom portion of the map. All things considered, the game is very even in terms of experience. The first turn-in went the way of down to fight, and they are down to fight here with Matt Timmy.
Yeah. Able to clean up this bottom lane, and they were able to take the bruisers in this lane, try to soak up some of those tower shots. Probably not going to be able to take any of those towers down. In the top lane, Jake, if you could be so kind as to show us what's happening up there.
Oh,
we do have counter aggression in the top side. So, okay, you're going to take those mercenary camps. We know you're too far away to try to get up here to contest within a reasonable amount of time. And we will get up here to try to apply some counter pressure.
All right, but they're going to be in position to collect this top portion of the coins. We see the bottom chest will be contested by Down to Fight, who just picked up that bruiser camp or the giant camp in the bottom corner. So this is something they do need to respond to in some fashion. But right now they're going to look to fight over the turning point.
Yeah, actually we see fairly uncontested area going towards Down to Fight. All right, we've been sort of harping quite a bit on Down to Fight's talent choices thus far. Still very likely to be going for that Bloodlust style. I can't really see how they're going to get a lot of use, especially like when you consider like Polymorph, the control that Anubarak brings to like the fight, Tychus and all this. So
here's the thing though, if Brightwing goes Blink Heal, and they're not ready for Bloodlust, this could be hard. Very difficult for Zeveron to win.
Yeah.
Emerald Wind is one of the best responses to Bloodlust in the game.
It is. It is. Okay, anyway, what the whole point of that little tirade there was to just try to transition into talking a little bit about the talents for Zeveron. We do see full auto attack build. Yeah, oh yeah, Emerald Wind, yes. So good call there. And we did see the Gust of Healing picked up, which sort of counteracts the lack of healing for that. You see the promote and the bribe for Brightwing. Somewhat of a beetle build. They didn't end up going for the leeching scarabs at 7, but just really looking to get that damage output.
All right, well.
Mule also picked up. We didn't talk about that for Abathur.
It's been doing a lot in the bottom lane, but this boss is going to be picked up under the nose of Down to Fight. Big plays by Zeveron, just kind of showing.
Are you serious? They went Ancestral Healing anyway.
I think they saw Emerald Wind.
Come on.
And said no, honestly. They're like, oh no, we can't do this. It's interesting. Rain of Vengeance was collected. Blessed Shield is here. Bloodlust Dream is dead. Thanks, Mad Timmy. I blame you.
Wow. Just throw him under the bus. We do see the Evolved Monstrosity picked up as well. The Draken Laser Drill. So a lot of this, and we talked about this a bit before the match, is that this the battleground is, you can say, a very PvE focus, especially for the team that is ahead. And Evolved Monstrosity will do a lot to help that. We saw the Draken Laser Drill used just to clean up the boss to try to get some aggression there. They were able to get the top 4 out of it. We have the Mule picked up to try to counteract some of this PvE pressure that the opposing side might put on, in this case, Down to Fight. So I think that's really their game plan. They're not really looking to take a crazy amount of team fights. In fact, everything else is kind of disengage oriented.
Yeah, and they've just been getting the favorable rotations constantly. Like, they took out multiple structures here, all 3 forts just about down now in favor of Zeveron. And where did that last turn in? I mean, it's going to eliminate this. A few more shots. Nope. Doesn't happen.
I'm still, like,
so sad.
So upset about the Bloodlust. Well, because at
this
this point...
What do you think my life's like every day, Kubi?
Every single day. But to me, what this says... They have this set up for a very, very strong team fight potential. Yeah, Emerald Wind is going to be annoying, but I don't know how they're going to be able to take fights. Oh, yeah, Scream Reaper a bit out of position. Wasn't able to get tabs on Zeratul location.
No.
Savagery should be able to get out very, very easily, especially with that iron skin. But still, that's going to be a bottom fort taken down easily.
So they're trying to trade out in the top lane. There is the Monstrosity there to defend, but Mr. Pink is doing his best to eliminate that Fury, rotating on up, throwing down the Impale, but again, the Lightning Shield there on Illidan. A lot of damage will be laid out.
All right. Also, we're starting to see Abathur speccing into Locusts a bit more. We see the Bombard Strain. Probably going to see the Locust Nest at level 16. Just that paired with the Monstrosities is going to be a lot more map pressure. Everything about Zeveron is map pressure. Map pressure and disengage from team fights. Yeah. Everything about what Down to Fight has is auto attack style, Bloodlust. But they didn't go Bloodlust, so now they have like this halfway build. Even though Emerald Wind is a great disengage,
and that's the other thing I love about like this idea with Jaina. She got the increased width, if she got the increased range. You pair that with this auto attack and Bloodlust. Like, how do you get away? You get slowed by Jaina, you get brought in by Condemn, and suddenly you're just the auto attacks are just so powerful. Oh well, maybe other teams will experiment with that in the future because it's a really cool idea.
The point that I'm trying to get at is I don't like the halfway.
Yeah,
I don't like the halfway. I get that the Emerald Wind is going to be a big disengage, but you got to look for either ways to like try to bait that out. But at this point, I'm not really sure how they are looking to try to win these team fights. I guess if a very, very strong Blessed Shield is thrown down and pairing that up with the Rain of Vengeance, but the positioning is going to have to be so tight to get that to work. And there's no way they're going to be able to out-rotate Zeveron on this map. There's no way they're going to be able to out-PvE them. They have to look for aggressive fights, and I think that Bloodlust, honestly, was the way to go about doing that. As crazy as that sounds, you can probably quote me saying that twice in my entire life. But they've put themselves in that position to do so, and I got to harp on it. I think that they probably should have just tried it out anyway.
I can't argue with that, Kubi, because
it's like they took their win condition away.
The rest of this game just makes me sad now. I was so hopeful. But we're going to see if they can make some cool plays here. The Monstrosity in the bottom lane. I have to hand it to Mule in this game. It's actually had a lot of just value. It's constantly mitigated so much structural damage. After 3 full turn-ins, they've only barely removed the forts, and now it's yet another turn-in for Zeveron, and this bottom fort is going to fall completely. Just that one tower remains, and the rest of the shot's going to go towards that middle keep. Won't quite get it, but it's going to take the fortifications down. Yeah,
another minute remaining before the boss appears, but that will time out very well with level 16 just now being hit, but there's no way that Down to Fight will be able to catch up experience-wise in that time. I do believe the drill is back off cooldown, so we may see them position themselves in such a way to try to get that boss, once again, to apply more pressure, just split pushing across the map. What are these bruisers looking like in the bottom? Another minute and a half before that's back up. So I'm just trying to sort of map out the rotations that Zeveron is going to make in the future so you guys can see what their game plan is very likely going to be. We'll see if they end up sticking to it, but...
Yeah, oh, this Monstrosity gonna get very low right now. Savagery doing her best to remove it here on Johanna. It will end up falling to the Giants, but look at this rotation. Anubarak and Chthonlok on Tychus gonna apply the damage and take out Savagery.
Yeah, I don't think she does have the end skin off, and of course there's no fort to fall back onto in this position, so she will end up falling. And this may be the cue for the rest of the team to rotate up. We do see the Zeratul nearby. Of course, the Abathur, always just that step away with the symbiote ability. We see Anubarak floating back up. Maybe Chthonlok will stay in the bottom lane to just push out.
It's not the worst idea, honestly.
But the laser drill is going to be a big deal in terms of taking that boss out quickly.
Yeah, it's going to help quite a bit. Getting an update on the talents, we do have triple blood for blood at this point in time, picked up here by Down to Fight. That's a lot more burst potential. If Anubarak is caught in a position, he is going to hate his life. Brightwing doesn't really have the same kind of burst heal without blink heal. So that's going to give them a nice big swing in these fights if they can line them up at the same time.
Is Anubarak the problem, though?
No.
That's the question. And yes, Blood for Blood is obviously a very, very strong ability. I don't know if there were other options they could have taken to try to lock down people that are out of position. At the very least, Earth Grasp Totem might have been a better pick for Rhaegar, just to try to catch people out of position. Because they have to force team fights in some way, or at least advantages from that sense.
Oh, they're going to get this. That's actually a nice, clean pickup on the boss. Anoob's going to get there a bit too late. Just learned that Impale Del Fury is going to realize he needs to back up rather quickly with all 5 members here on the side of down to fight.
Constant pressure in the bottom lane. We do have that Locust, the Bombard Strain, the Locust Brood. Probably the Nest will be picked up at level 20. They're going in. Yeah, that's a heavy amount of pressure. By the time the rotation even happens, there's going to be quite a bit of damage done to this bottom keep. Zeratul is just waiting in ambush in between basically the retreat path to try to catch any of these guys out of position. Don't think Equinox will be able to get to Blackhearts in time to try to stop this. It doesn't really make any sense to at this point.
Yeah, a bit too risky. They're going to be 1 coin short here when Jean gets that turn in. The boss is being cleaned up. Didn't quite manage to take out more than just the wall. Mule going to drop to heal up these forts. And again, Blackheart, coins back up.
But the positioning is strong. At this point in time, 4 down to fight. They should be looking to try to take as many of these coins from the chest as possible. Make a heavy rotation up to the mid lane. The talents tiers are even at this point, so they need to look to try to get an advantage fight, but hold on a second.
Wow!
So Illidan was a little bit overextended. We do see the Metamorphosis being thrown down, but not enough heroes were hit on Zeveron's side to get that HP advantage to really try to turn that fight around.
Big Rain of Vengeance too, but like you mentioned, 2 heroics were used for that disengage. And now Zeratul in the front line, and Central does go down onto Illidan. He's trying to battle it with Fury. The Blood for Bloods did go out to eliminate him. A big Emerald Wind separating Savagery, but does he have the Iron Skin? Doesn't look like it.
And we do see the PP thrown down immediately afterwards. Mr. Pink is going to be quite low. I don't think there's going to be a follow-up to try to capitalize on the AoE advantage that you get from that Void Prison, but full disengage should be very likely. Had Timmy speeding on out of there with that Pixie Dust. Wow, Equinox with the very aggressive play. Does have sort of a low mana issue at this point, so I think we're just going to see a full disengage. I really don't like Zeveron trying to stall this. Just let it go.
Let it go.
No, all right. No, no. If I use those 3 words together, that's not a trigger for you to start singing.
Yes, it is.
You and Jester both. Stop.
All right, well, we do see that they are actually forced back. Only 4 coins need to be turned in, 3 going in at the moment. Matt Timmy going to be face-shifting on over to where Zeratul lies to bribe these Giants, giving a lot more pressure into that bottom keep, which is already very exposed.
Okay, so I take my statement back a little bit. They were able to get a decent amount of value out of the Monstrosity. So if they're stalling safely around Blackhearts, getting the whole team sort of distracted from down to fight there, they were able to take the towers out in the top lane. And the response was that they sent the whole team back up there. This allowed Mad Timmy to go over and aggressively bribe the Giants. And this provides a good bit more map pressure. You see the 3 heroes in the bottom lane taking the Bruisers. I imagine they will rotate up to the right-hand side to get more Bruisers. So map control at this point, very much in favor of Zeveron. They have level 20.
And Zeveron's just playing the map better, right? Because although we saw a really nice fight over the turn-in point on Blackhearts by down to fight, they're losing out on the map. Now, they lost this middle keep. The top keep is going to be rather exposed. Another turn-in is going to pretty much eliminate the top and nearly the bottom keep.
We talk about the Storm Talents. We do have the continuous wins. Nexus Blades, actually, for Zeratul. Not going for the rewind. Preference, maybe confidence, maybe a bit of both. We do have the Hardened Shield for Anubarak. The Locust Nest, sort of as we predicted, just continuing along with that split push style. And then finally, the Focusing Diodes. Focusing Diodes. That's just the extra range, I think. Duration?
Yeah, range duration. So continuous wins makes it very difficult to fight straight up. When you see that happen, you need to just kind of split and leave the battlefield generally, if the continuous wins is used properly. But right now, they're really just kind of relinquishing all their control on the map, allowing Zeveron to just do whatever they want, collect experience in all 3 lanes, turn in, and this is not the best way to respond to this. You just need to get aggressive, even though you don't have level 20. Find someone out of position in Equinox.
Yeah, you got to be able to. You got to be sharp with the eyes on this. This was a potential play that could have been huge. How is Equinox going to get out of there if they catch him? The team is so far away. These are the types of plays you need to make to get back.
Handlebars.
Oh no, that is unfortunate. I think they'll be kicking themselves later if they review this VOD. I'm thinking back, like, how are they going to catch up in this game? And having decent amount of eyes in terms of where the rest of the enemy team was, being able to pick off Equinox, get that takedown, and then that would get them to 20. Those are the types of plays you need to make to try to snowball your team back into advantage, because they have their team is very team fight oriented, and they need to start capitalizing on these types of advantages. Now is the time to do it. They have even talent tiers, also in Nexus Blades for Illidan, rewind on Rhaegar for that extra healing, but didn't go for the healing surge.
Wow.
Maybe a bit more question. I think maybe Storm Shield might have been a better pick there. Nexus Frenzy for Vala. Again, that just pairs up very well with the auto attack build. Both of the Storm for Jaina and the Indestructible on Johanna.
I gotta say, Illid and Vala are going to be quite scary. As long as they can stay alive, there's no imposing presence on the opposing side. So,
haha. You didn't even know you did it. You were just like, you started chuckling to yourself like, I'm good. Great.
Great!
Great.
All right, bottom lane being pressured heavily by Brightwing and those Locusts. There's a massive swarm and then 2 promoted minions. The bottom keep should surely fall here. The boss being contested by Down to Fight. They're here. Equinox looking to make a play happen. Blinks in, just throwing in the cleave and then getting on out. The Void Prison going to be forced out just for him to stay alive.
Great stall. Look what's happening over at the core, Jake.
Yeah, and Equinox is
okay, the stall. This is super big. He will very much willingly trade his life in this trade because look what's happening over the core. That stall was probably more than enough time to allow Zeveron and the continuous wins. Saw a very similar play. Actually, it was on Blackheart's Bay during the North America June Open. We saw Zuna VP, the entrance to the Hall of Storm.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think it was Arth who was on Tassadar, ends up stalling out by the boss up there. So very, very similar play. Worked out in favor of the aggressive team both times. So something that you guys should be careful of when you're playing.
Zirch was a pretty cool dude, man.
Yeah, I guess so.